Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am so excited for today's presentation and conversation, and I hope you'll enjoy it as I expect you will. My name is Peter Goldstein. I'm founder and chief synergy officer with We Did It. Our vision at We Did It is to help create a healthy, happy vegan world, well fed also. Our unique role is to empower vegan and plant-based consumers to become more effective ambassadors. Imagine as an ambassador being able to confidently open more doors and plant more seeds wherever the day takes you. Our work consists of three pillars. And pillar number one is about interpersonal communications so that we can listen better, open doors, and ignite hopeful curiosity in other people. And today's guest is addressing her through her work on this first pillar. Our second pillar then is about resource curation so that as we inspire more people, then we can have the most appropriate resource available for the situation. Our third component is community, so we can all be in community, support each other, and as a community, then look for those answers that have been escaping us. And the big question in my mind always is, how is it that being vegan or healthy with a plant-based diet, these facts have been with us for 75 years, yet maybe 1 or 2% of the world is living it. So in our community, one of our objectives is to find those answers and help explore those answers. And we look forward to your participation and your contribution. I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Please type your questions so that we can answer them. The conversation is going to be somewhat of a conversational format, so we may be able to include your questions and answer them as we go along. Please join our Facebook groups, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, We Did It Health. If you are plant-based and you have benefited with your health and you know you're benefiting the environment and the world, please go to wedidit.health and answer the simple one-question survey. And our vision is to create the scoreboard where we can show the world that thousands and thousands of people have gotten healthier, to show the world all the animal lives we're saving, all the deforestation we're preventing, and we can do that with the scoreboard at wedidit.health. So with that, I'd like to tell you that our special guest today is Peg Haust, and she is a New York State licensed clinical social worker and certified cognitive therapist. And Peg will tell you a lot more about her series of certifications, including nutrition and cognitive health. So with that, I would like to bring Peg on. And there you are. Hello, Peg, and welcome to today's presentation. And I'm so very excited to have you. I know that you're coming from a clinical perspective, and one of the things you're going to address is something that has been so clear to me, in that in our human needs, our 6 human needs, and you'll get into that, I know, is to be of service, is contribution, and this work is really rooted in the frustration we experience when we see that we don't get a chance to contribute to the people we care about by getting them healthier and inspiring them to change their diet and lifestyle. So welcome, Peg.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. One thing I noticed when you were talking, I was off camera, my little camera up there is kind of jiggling, so if I might have to like go and stop it. So I'm hoping for no technical things here. So fingers crossed. But hello,
Yes.
everybody. I'm so glad to be here. I thought I'd start with Before I talk about my professional introduction, I'd like to tell you my story a little bit about how I became vegan. I listen to everybody else because I think that's really an integral part of these too. Getting to know people here. So my story started. Been a few pivotal moments in my life as far as my vegan journey. The first one was when my husband and I went to Farm Sanctuary just on a whim. We wanted to go on a day trip. I don't know if you've ever been there. If you haven't, I really encourage you to go. It's in Watkins Glen. I think there's one in California too. So we were in our 20s at that time, and we went to Farm Sanctuary in Watkins Glen, and we learned the truth about the farming industry. And so we never ate meat again from that day forward. So that was the beginning. And then through my 30s and beyond, I was joining animal rights groups on the protest line. I was tabling events, so really involved with that kind of service in the vegan world. And then the second pivotal moment in my life was a trifecta of events. It was my sister died of cancer. She was 50. My father had severe health problems, and soon after his passing, and all during that time, I had turned 40. So that was a really difficult time. And so it moved me forward because it was realizing how food and disease were related. And I became at that time interested in food as preventative medicine. And so that was a pivotal time and another level of growth in my vegan journey. But it wasn't just for me, it was for my loved ones and my clients even, because as I was working with my clients, I knew there had to be a food connection to mood. So, but I couldn't talk to them about that because ethically I wasn't credentialed in that area to talk about that. So I then decided to go to Institute for Integrated Nutrition way back then, so I could at least have the conversation, open up the conversation about how food is integral in our moods in my work. So I was learning so much and growing so much during that time. And again, it was slowly transitioning and cleaning up my diet because since my 20s, I was that vegan activist, right? It was all about the animals. So I didn't care. I was eating all kinds of vegan fast food and stuff for what there was back then in the early 90s. Not like today. Oh my gosh, how fun today is. But more recently, as of 2021, now in my late 50s, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, RA. And that was the same debilitating disease my dad had. So I believe in divine timing. And it was divine timing in 2021 when I was diagnosed that Rochester Lifestyle Medicine had reached out to me and asked me to join a jumpstart for observation. And it was divine timing because it was 2 months before I was diagnosed with RA, and it was just what I needed to even take my level of whole food, plant-based food, the way of eating, to the next level. So that's where I am now. And so it's been a long journey since 1989. So I love being here in this community with you guys that we did it, just everybody's at a different level. And I love the journey of everybody else's, starting fresh, old timers, and everybody in between. So I'm just so happy to be here in what we're
Well,
doing
thank you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to bring up my slide, I can bring up my slideshow, right? Or do you bring up my slideshow?
Uh, I bring it up and here it is.
Okay, cool. So now that's my vegan journey, and this is my professional journey. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also a certified cognitive therapist. Um, all kinds. I'm addicted to growth. I'm addicted to learning. So I've kind of collected certifications and stuff. But really, I work with people. My specialty is anxiety, My specialty is helping people overcome debilitating anxiety. It comes from knowing that. So I'll tell you something about the 6 human needs. I am a cognitive therapist because cognitive therapy is what helped me overcome debilitating anxiety. And so that took me from 0 to 10, I thought. But when I learned what I'm going to teach you today, the 6 human needs, that took me from beyond 10 that I didn't even know existed. So that's why I love the 6 human needs. And it was so pivotal for me for how I worked with people, for myself too, with anxiety challenges and other things. So I'm going to talk to you about that in a basic way. And Peter and I will be able to talk to you because he knows about the 6 human needs too. So hopefully it'll be a fun conversation. And I'm going to go through them now. Okay. So the 6 human needs was created by Chloe Madonis and Tony Robbins. And there's a little bit of backstory that before I'm going to go into each one of them, but what you need to know first, a few things, is that we all share the same 6 needs, universally human. We all share the same 6 needs. So it doesn't matter if you're from Texas or China. It doesn't matter if you're 2 or 92. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. We all share the same 6 human needs. And a really important point is they're not a matter of if our needs are getting met. They're a matter of how. So I'm going to introduce a little lingo as we go on to help you understand as I go through. But keep that in mind that we're all getting them met. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how. And I love the 6 human needs because it answers the question why anybody does anything. So if you've ever wondered, like, why am I doing this or why are they doing that? This makes it so easy because there's only 6 reasons why anybody does anything. And that being said, it gives us a deeper understanding of people and ourselves, and it removes the judgment. So we don't have to judge people or ourselves harshly. We say, why are they doing that? It brings in curiosity and a deeper level of understanding. And it really explains the choices we make in our lives, why we make the choices we do. So it's a very powerful thing. I'm going to go through each one of them as we go. So let's see. All right. So first of all, there's 4 human needs of the personality. I'm going to go through each one, the first 4. The first 4 are needs of the personality, and they are essential for human survival. And the last 2 are the needs of our spirit, and they are essential for thriving. So first I'm going to go through the first 4 and then the last 2. And as I go through them, keep in mind how this pertains to you. As I go through each one, you're going to think about how you are getting your needs met. And by the way, that's called a vehicle. A vehicle is the way we get our needs met. It's our behaviors, a way of going about getting our needs met. And they can be either positive or negative, easy or difficult, good or bad for yourself, others, and society. So those are the hows. Okay. And then the driving force is we tend to value 1 or 2 at the top. And that really explains what drives our behavior, the driving force, it's called. So as I go through each one, I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but we'll have time to chat. Think about, how do I meet my needs? What vehicles do I use? And you're also going to think about, like, other people are going to come to your mind, like, oh, that sounds like my sister, right? Or now I get it. So just take some notes. Hopefully you got some pen or paper with you, and you can, jot down some insights you might have as we're going through this together. Let's see. So the first 4 needs of our personality. Okay. So the first one is our need for certainty/comfort. We all need to know that we got some foundation, right? We all need to know that we got a basic feeling of grounding in our life, right? and code words for certainty and comfort might be when you hear people talk about safety, stability, having security, that all falls under this need of having certainty and comfort. And I when I'm working with a client, I always on the first session get a little backstory. Tell me about yourself. Where are you born and raised? And so that's how I'm going to use an example to help you get an idea really of how this works. So tell me about yourself, Peter. Where were you born and raised, for example? And Peter might say, well, oh, by the way, this is a fictional character. Where were you born and raised? Oh, I was born and raised in Seneca Falls. Went to Minders Academy, graduated Minders Academy, went right to work at Goulds Pumps. That's how my whole family did it. I mean, even the house we have has been passed down from generation to generation, and we all worked at Goulds Pumps. And I love that. I love that sense of tradition. And I been in the same position my whole career. I retired from there, and I had opportunities to challenge myself, but I kind of like to know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I could do that job with my hands tied behind my back. I really love that level of knowing that level of comfort in my job. And I, built myself a nice retirement fund. I got X amount of money in the bank. And in fact, if it goes below X amount of money in the bank, I get really nervous. I like to know I have this much or more. And I am the type of person that likes my routine and don't mess with my routine. I got to have my structure. And so that is what certainty and comfort is all about. Can you hear how driven he is by certainty? This person is very driven by certainty, and you can tell by the vehicles, the way he's getting those needs met. And maybe it sounds like somebody yourself who is very driven by certainty. Now, listen for the second. I'm going to introduce the second, and then we're going to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to introduce the second human need, which is uncertainty/variety. It's actually the flip opposite. Okay. So tell me about yourself, Peter. Where were you born and raised? Well, I was born and raised in Seneca Falls, went to Minders Academy, graduated from Minders Academy, but I could not wait to get out of this one horse town. So I joined the service. And oh my goodness, can I tell you stories? I have done some stuff. I've lived all over the world. I have jumped out of airplanes. I've been in dangerous situations. I have so many stories and so many adventures I can tell you about. But that's me. I get antsy. I'm in a job 6 months. I'm like, okay, what's next? Time to go. And, I don't know how people, watch the same movie twice. I can't even get through a movie once without like having to, okay, let's get to the end. But I tend to be a risk taker. I tend to be, it's probably why I don't have X amount of money in my account, my retirement account. If somebody says, hey, I got this thing we're going to do. Are you in? Yes, I'm in. So you hear the difference. I'm using extreme examples I know. I'm using extreme examples because I want to bring this point home of what certainty is and what uncertainty is. Now, keep in mind, the first person, the one that's very certainty driven, he too is getting his need met for uncertainty, just not by jumping on a planes, right? And this person here, who's very uncertainty variety driven, they're getting their need met for certainty, just not in the same way that Peter number one has been. So keep that in mind for yourself, and keep that in mind as you're thinking about people that you know and people in your life. And how are you getting your needs met? And do you tend to be more certainty driven, or do you tend to be more uncertainty driven? So any questions or comments yet, Peter? You got anything for me?
Well, as I'm listening to you talk about this, it's fascinating, and clearly we all have a mix of the two. The two are opposite, and our comfort level, our joy, our lives are what we are uniquely is what combination of the two. So how much certainty, how much uncertainty we can live with, and then I'm wondering, what what would you say to an ambassador as I'm looking to inspire somebody? I'm out on a hike and I run across somebody who's training, and I'd like to get them to be plant based.
Oh yeah.
What kinds of things would I look for, and how might I be able to use the concepts of certainty and variety uh, to
Oh,
uh, to talk with this person?
great question. Great question. And I want to definitely um, talk about that point of how this pertains to being a great ambassador. So I will get to that. I don't want to answer that question right now because it's kind of specific. But as we talk about the whole, we're definitely going to
Okay,
be able to understand how this all pertains to us right now being vegans and being vegan ambassadors for sure. Uh,
perfect.
so before I go on to number three, which one do you tend to value out of these two? Which one do you tend to be more driven? I am definitely more certainty driven. How about you?
Well, myself, I'm certainly a very adventurous person. So for me, I think I'm way more driven by uncertainty, and I love adventure, and I can step into all kinds of situations feeling certain that I'm safe. And I think maybe that's part of it, is uncertainty makes us feel unsafe, and but I'm very comfortable with it. And then of course certainty is really important too. I certainly see it, but I think uncertainty, variety, adventure is key for me in my life.
Yes. And as you know, Tony Robbins and Chloe say, the more comfortable you can become with uncertainty and variety, the less stress and anxiety you're going to have, which is, I have always been certainty driven, which is why I had a challenge with so much anxiety. Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes. So the
Yeah.
more comfortable we can get with uncertainty and variety, the more certain, the more less anxiety and stress we'll have. So that's
Yes.
a little side note.
So I'm not sure if I heard this from Tony or somewhere else, but I heard a teacher say that the more uncertainty you're comfortable living with, something like the quality of our lives is proportional with the uncertainty we can live with.
That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely.
Yes,
And so for why I bring it to anxiety is because that's not a quality way of life. Yeah.
absolutely. That's beautiful that you were able to get through that, and I know so many people who do get anxious, and probably, just to be a little bit judgmental, too anxious for their own good. And so, yeah, anxiety is a big thing. I've seen people be hindered or even impaired by anxiety, not very functional because of their anxiety. And I love this conversation, and I will send people your way. When I see somebody stressing too much with anxiety, I'll say, I've got this really wonderful friend who can help you. So,
Thank you. Yes. So those are the first two needs of our personality. We got two more to go. So our third need is our need for significance. And again, yes, let's think about veganism as a vehicle. Think about that as I'm going through these, because that's how I want to, one of the ways I want to bring all this together. So we all need to feel important, needed, wanted, and special. And we can get that need met positively or negatively. And this is what I love about the six human needs, what I was saying before, is that it abolishes judgment, because when I work with a lot of educators, and when I talk to my teachers, I always use this examples with my teachers, is when you're a teacher, like in middle school, and that's when a lot of bullying happens, right? Middle school bullying, but adults can be bullies too. Think about this. Why do bullies bully? It's because they feel so insignificant So the 6 human needs say, why does anybody do what they do? Because you can either tear somebody down or build somebody up, and it meets the same need. Because remember, it's not a matter of if we're going to get this need met, it's a matter of how. So we can either tear somebody down or build somebody up, and it's meeting the same need. And so awareness is the first key. If we're aware of how we're meeting our own vehicles or our own needs with our own vehicles, we then are empowered to look at that and be aware of that. And maybe, we're going to talk about this later, change it up a bit so we are living at a higher level with others too. So there's positive and negative ways of getting this met, but there's everything in between. There's neutral ways. So, I mean, we're in the same age category, Peter, I think, as that movie. Remember the movie, The Breakfast Club? Do you remember that? Where do you remember that scene? I bet there's some people watching too that remember this movie. Do you remember that scene where they were in a circle and they were all going around saying what they could do? And they even had like stereotypical, one was the bully, one was the bad boy, one was the princess. So that's what significance is all about. What makes you special? What makes you unique? And, I think of a talent. What is your talent? Talk about veganism. How significant is that, right? How unique and special is that in and of itself? So there's all these positive ways, but there's all these neutral ways about what makes us unique and special. So that's significance. And the fourth need, how are we doing on time? The fourth need is our need for love and connection. And that is such a powerful need that it's instinctually ingrained in us for survival. I always say, you were born and somebody loved you enough, even if it wasn't ideal, somebody loved you enough where you're still alive to tell about it. So this is such an instinctually ingrained for survival type need that it explains a lot of the reasons why we do what we do, why we get struck with fear, because we're social creatures, and without it, we would literally die. So unconsciously, we're very hardwired for this. And it's love/connection, because love in and of itself is very what? It's a V word. It's vulnerable. And so sometimes if we've been hurt, especially those of us who are very certainty driven, that we, aren't going to take any risks, but we have to be connected, we will settle for connection. And again, I'm dating myself, but Peter, do you remember the movie with Tom Hanks? I can't remember the name of the movie. Castaway. Did you see that? Castaway?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
There's a movie, maybe somebody watch him. He had love and connection is so important. This need has to be met, that he had a soccer ball. There was nobody there. He was cast away on an island and there was no people. So he had to take a soccer ball and draw a face on it and make it into that's how powerful love and connection is, right? We are going to find a way to get that need met one way or another. And talk about veganism for the animals. Sometimes people connect with animals more than people because they're safer, right? Sometimes people think that way about, I love animals more than maybe 3 people. Have you ever seen that meme? So love and connection, very much tied. And so those are the first 4 needs of our personality. And now we're going to start getting into our needs for the spirit. And this is what we need to feel fulfilled. And the first one is growth. And you notice the phrase here, what doesn't grow, anybody, Peter, dies. What
Nice,
doesn't?
absolutely.
Yes. So we are hardwired also for growth, right? We're hardwired for certainty and love and connection, but we're hardwired for growth too, because that's what we need to feel fulfilled. And without growth, though, we can't just grow. When, I'm an avid learner, and I really learn that. That's why I have so many sinking certifications. I'm avid learner, but if I am so certainty driven and so struck by fear and hold that all to myself, it's not helping anybody but me, right? And so we have to contribute to something greater than ourselves. And that's when we really feel fulfilled, when we're growing and contributing. And we all have our unique ways of doing that, right? This is my way. I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a psychotherapist. These are all my ways of doing it, and many other ways. But we all have our unique ways of growing and contributing that lights us up. That's the key. What lights us up individually? So to recap really quickly, the question now becomes, does it become clear to you how we can understand somebody deeply, a more deeper level with the lens? I call it a lens, right? Here's a pair of glasses, put them on. Can you see things in a different perspective with this lens on? Can you understand why people do what they do? Can you understand how this removes judgment when you have this lens on and say, why are they doing that? Ugh, they're terrible people, versus why are they doing that? Interesting. Well, how is that behavior meeting their need? And it just removes the judgment, and it provides a deeper understanding of ourselves and others, and a way to completely communicate differently with this lens on than without it. And that's how this all ties into how this can operate not only in your personal life, but as an ambassador, as a plant-based ambassador. Um, how will this perspective change it for you? So again, just to recap really quickly, the first four needs are the needs of the personality. They're essential for human survival. Our last two needs are the needs of our spirit, and that's what we need to really touch into to grow as a human and contribute to feel fulfilled. A vehicle is the ways we go about getting our needs met, and that can be good for you or not. And which one you're driven by tends to help you understand what the choices you've made in your life up to this point, how to help you understand yourself and others. So that's the recap. Now, let's talk about this, something to think about. What are some of your vehicles? We're not going to have time to talk about that today, but hopefully you've been taking notes and think about this for yourself. Which two needs are your driving force? We tend to have two at the top. How will this new perspective impact you, your relationships, your dreams and goals? And how will this help you become a great grassroots ambassador? When you bring this all together, think about veganism as a whole. And how does veganism meet each one of your needs? Veganism, for plant-based eating, it doesn't matter if you're vegan for the animals. This is the 6 human needs in practice here with this. It doesn't matter if you're vegan for the animals. It doesn't matter if you're vegan for your health. It doesn't matter if you're vegan for the environment, world hunger. With this lens on, you can see that it's all good. And there's no reason to argue about it, because when you do, what need is that? In a negative way. Certainty, significance, right? Connection even, but in a negative way. You see how that is clear?
Yeah, I love that, because we're driven by those needs, and if we don't have satisfying positive ways to meet them, then we'll act out and get even more momentum on acting out until we do get those needs met. So if we need to be significant, I suppose an extreme is how much, how significant is somebody who's robbing somebody at gunpoint. I mean, that person with the gun is incredibly significant in that moment. So that's such an extreme example of acting out to it in a really bad way, but it drives us. And I agree with you, and I hear you, Peg. This is beautiful. Is we have these needs, and our joy and our happiness is probably related to how positively we can fulfill our needs, and of course, be of service.
Yes, and when we're talking about growth and contribution, and we're talking about being vegan together, no matter what you're vegan for. So, how is that going to impact your conversations with people? Like, for example, if somebody says, I'm vegan for my health. Oh, you're vegan for the animals, and if they get judgy about it, it's like the animals don't care if you're vegan for your health. The environment doesn't care if you're vegan for the animals. It doesn't matter. It's all good. And I think the six human needs, when you look at growth and contribution, in love and connection, it helps you see clearly it's all good. So why do we even have to have these arguments about it? It's all good because the animals and the environment and none of that cares. They don't care. I imagine like a cow saying, I don't care if you're doing it for the environment. You're helping me, right? Good, yay, right? Or you're doing it for your health.
Beautiful.
Yay, I need you to be healthy, the cow says. I need you to be healthy. So good. If you're doing it for your health, good, because you're helping me. It all comes back around to it's good for everybody. Good for yourself, good for others, and good for the world. And it doesn't matter how or why. It's all good.
Yeah. So I suppose if I'm talking with somebody and I can notice what makes them feel significant,
Yes.
then I wouldn't necessarily I it would be easier for me not to be confrontational. If I see that, okay, if I say this, then it will trigger them on their significance. So maybe I need to find a more elegant way, or maybe not even go there at all. So being aware of that, or being aware of how somebody feels loved and connected. So if we're talking with somebody who really loves animals and feels very connected with their pets, then we can acknowledge and work with them from the place of connecting. And
Yes, it's about making others feel significant. It's about making others feel certain. It's about helping others to, it's tapping into what they're driven by. And if you're listening with this lens, it's easy to pick up on. And so then we
beautiful.
have the empowerment and the influence. See, it's all about influence. We have the influence to be a positive influence now because we're picking up on what's driving them and what's important to them. So now I can talk to them from their point of view, from their language, right? That's the power
Yes.
of this. It's putting this lens on and listening deeply, trying to, oh, what makes you tick? Oh, what's important to them is I can talk like that. I can join with them. I can be influential in that way. That's what it's all about. It's about joining and influencing positively versus influencing negatively.
Absolutely. That causes stress and anxiety, and pushes people away, and and that just gets us further from a healthy, happy, well-fed vegan world. When we push people away, then it makes it that much more difficult to get them back.
Right.
And
So
I,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
So if you're at the dinner table this holiday season, right, and you're getting together with family and friends, how will this influence your conversation differently? I mean, can you think of an example like somebody brings up that they're whole food plant based for their health, and you're whole food plant based for the animals. Maybe without this lens on, you would get like, blah, 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 get all huffy about it, and it should be for the animals, and um, instead you can say, oh my God, tell me more, right? It's great. How are you, what are you learning? What foods are really working for you? How you feel more energy? It's like joining with them on it. so they feel warm and welcomed, you know,
I
instead of
I
judging.
love it. Yeah, absolutely. So coming and even just as importantly, somebody who's not plant based at all, and having a conversation where we can identify what's significant to them and what makes them feel significant, and then to link it. So somebody may say, I really care about the environment, and being able to then supportively, lovingly, with kindness, come to them and start showing them the information, or asking the questions of of if they care about nature, care about the rainforest, care about the air pollution, care about, so identifying that, and then probably for significance, acknowledging them. So here, I care about the air quality. Well, acknowledging how important it is, and making them feel good that they are concerned about something that's important for humanity, um, and being supportive from that perspective, and then gently introducing some new information.
Yeah,
Is
I mean,
is does that sound like a good strategy?
absolutely. And let's take a complicated, um, potentially explosive conversation. Like, for example, as a vegan, when you go to the holidays, what triggers you? For me, it's conversations about hunting, right? And so this triggers me. Or it can trigger me. Or what else? I don't know. Why can't you eat that? Or why can't you eat that? I don't, that's not in my life anymore, but I know it is in some people's, right? Where it's like, why can't you eat this? Why can't you eat that? Well, I mean, but for me, for a real life example, is the hunting topic. So without this lens, I might be frustrated, feel angry, and maybe even break a tie, break a relationship, right? Not just cut off. So I can't talk to you. But with this lens on, here's me. That's interesting. I'm thinking to myself, that's interesting. That hunting is a vehicle. How is that vehicle meeting? Which needs is that vehicle meeting for him? It's meeting his need for certainty. He finds comfort in getting outside and being out in nature. How is it variety? It's going out, and it's the thrill of the hunt. Significance. I got this big racked deer, right? Significant. It's like the big prize. It's love and connection with nature, connection with other hunters. How is it meeting their needs for growth and contribution? Well, from their perspective, it is, because it's good for the environment. We have to hunt; it keeps the population down, And so, from their perspective, in the six human needs model, it really is meeting their needs. Okay, so I look at it like that now, because it do you see how that takes the judgment out? Completely removes the judgment. It removes the stress from me. I'm now curious. That's interesting. I'm looking at it from their perspective. That's the beauty of the six human needs. And so what do I do? For me, I remove myself from the conversation. I have been known to say, hey, that really triggers me. Can you just, while I'm here, um, just be thoughtful of not bringing up that. I know, not to judge. I'm not judging. Just it triggers me. I know you don't understand that, but thanks for not just talking about that around me. And does that happen? Not always. So that's when I have to be grounded in myself and not reactive, right? So the six human needs helps me with that too. So I hope that's a
Yeah,
good example of practical use
and
of them.
and it certainly takes a lot of self knowledge and a lot of ability to stay grounded and not get triggered. The examples that you just used are really powerful, and they trigger so many of us, and certainly for good reason. I mean, certainly talking about hunting is awful and terrible, and I guess we need to be able to not get too stressed about it, and to be able to shut it off, and certainly for us to be able to remove ourselves from the conversation and to be able to do it gracefully is probably a skill that many of us could get better at.
Yes,
Um,
and with that, when you're in that place, you are now more influential. So maybe that person comes to me and say, "Tell me, why, what you have about hunting. I want to learn. I want to know because for me, it's completely good for the environment and it's a good thing." So, and so tell me why you think it opens the conversation. If
and
you are being influential in a positive way.
And right, so once we can have a conversation, then we have some hope for steering that conversation, which is really the objective here. Is the objective is to inspire and influence, and to be able to do that, we need to be having a conversation, um, and and at the same time, I mean, it's really hurtful, and we as vegans get more and more sensitized all the time, and so it's extreme examples, and I think that we also need to give ourselves permission not to be engaged with it. It's gut wrenching to think about some of these things, and to remove ourselves, and we're not required to have that conversation, and we need to first of all take care of ourselves, and of course we're vegan and plant-based for taking care of ourselves, and the six human needs, then coming back to that, we by understanding our needs, and by fulfilling our needs in positive constructive ways, we are that is self-care. So uh, self-care is really important, and we are vegan to take care of ourselves, and to take care of the animals and all the animal suffering, to take care of our health, the environment, to be able to preserve the planet for the future generations. So we're doing it all out of caring, and all out of our own self-care too. So
Yes, yes. Love it. Yep. So I hope that I was influential in helping you to understand how this could work for you and really answer some of these questions for yourself. And, what are some of your vehicles? And by the way, um, I mean, this is going more into deeper work, but once you understand what your vehicles are, then you can upgrade your vehicles. And you can say, is this vehicle, for example, well, since we're talking to vegans here and hopefully plant-based people here, how does, for me, when I started out as a complete junk food vegan, so how that's a vehicle that met all of my needs. But as I got more and more down the road, it became a more high quality vehicle, right? And so you can have negative vehicles and positive vehicles. Like exercise is a positive vehicle, but it might not feel good at first. So you got to, once you do exercise over and over and over again, it becomes a high quality vehicle, but it might not be a high quality vehicle. At first, it might be like, oh, this hurts. I don't like it. But the more you do it, it becomes a high quality vehicle, something that's very good for you and good for, um, but at first it might be painful. So we talk about that on a deeper level when I'm working one-on-one with somebody. We dig into how this is personalized for you, how your needs are driving you, um, and the implications of that. The implications of that. What are some negative implications of some of your vehicles? When somebody comes to see me and they have an addiction, um, this is the this is how I look at it, because whatever they're addicted to, alcohol, eating, cigarettes, that is meeting their needs. And by the way, that's why this was so powerful for me. Emotions are vehicles. So that's what I mean by when I struggled with anxiety, I became a cognitive therapist because cognitive therapy took me from 0 to 10. But then this took me 10 and beyond because I realized, wrap your head around this, that literally the emotion of anxiety was actually meeting my needs. And when one vehicle meets three or more of your needs at a very intense level, that's how we look at an addiction. So it is not a conscious thing. It wasn't like I am, anxiety is meeting my needs. That was something I had to learn and be aware of. It's like, oh my God, yes. Anxiety was literally meeting my need for certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection. This is why I'm not quite over it yet. But then when I learned that, everything changed for me. And when I saw it that way, it's like my emotion of anxiety was literally meeting my needs. And all emotions can do that. So upgrade your vehicle. And the key, focus on growth, focus on contribution, because that is the antidote to any emotion that you're struggling with. Anxiety, depression. If you put your focus on emotions that you can find in growth and contribution, it will crowd out the anxiety, literally crowd it out. And that's what I learned how to do for the anxiety challenge. It works for the same with any emotion. Did you want to say something?
That's beautiful. No, I love it, crowding it out, and because the needs will never go away. We have those needs, and that's the law. It's the law of the human condition. We have those needs, and then it's really a question of how is it that we're satisfying those needs, and how positive or negative those are. Um, that's beautiful. So I have a comment here from Lori. She says, I'm seeing how this model sheds light on how to move from being judgmental to being influential. And that certainly is
Spot
very important, isn't it?
Spot on. Thank
Because
you for saying that because that was my hope of the main top. That's why I wanted to bring this home. That right there, you said it perfectly. Thank you, Lori.
thank you, Lori. That's beautiful. And anybody else have any questions or comments you'd like to share? We'd love to hear them and answer them. And Peg, I think you have a couple more slides. Did you have any other slides you wanted to show?
Just you're invited if you want to connect with me. If you go to my website, I think that little QR code works. It goes right to my website, and you can sign up for a free excerpt of my book, which tells my story of anxiety challenges and things. So that will connect you to my list, which will connect you to my newsletter and that free excerpt book.
Beautiful. So I see we have a comment here from Rasan. Doing services in the world is a powerful way of making a contribution and can fill us and can lift us out of despair. That's
Absolutely.
beautiful, Rasan.
Absolutely. Love
Yeah,
it.
and that's thank you for that. So Peg, and I'm curious. I think people who are joining us live and people who are watching this later, they may be interested in some kind of a workshop on actually if people would like to have a worksheet and get ready and have some conversations, is that something that should be available to do for our community?
If the call is there, if people, show interest in, I see that there was a call for that, I would be open to seeing what I could put together.
Beautiful. So everybody with us live or watching this recorded, and I know we have a wonderful turnout on the recordings, and we have people from all over the world, all kinds of time zones who'll be watching this. And so please let us know. We'd love to keep this conversation going. We'd love to support us and you all in upgrading how we're meeting our needs, meeting the six human needs, and that's I guess that's growth and learning is and taking care of ourselves, moving moving away from stress, moving into more joy and away from the anxieties and with less anxiety and less stress, we certainly can be of even more service and even do more contribution to make this a better world.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end of our time. I think we have a couple more minutes. If you have anything you'd like to add, Peg, otherwise maybe we can wrap this up.
Yeah, we can wrap this up. I think the only thing I didn't might not have said is listen for the need underneath. Listen for the need underneath. So if somebody is being um, adversarial with you on the holidays, listen for the need underneath. Which one of these needs could you give them in a positive way? What are they really asking for? So I find that it's typically significance. So when we make people feel important, needed, wanted, and special, it breaks that defensiveness away. So look for the need underneath. What do they want? What do they need right now that would melt that away for them from them? So I think that's a really great ending key. Look for the need underneath and then deliver for them.
Yes. Yes. Well, wonderful. So Kathy says that a workshop would be great, and so let's talk about that and let's see what we can do and create a workshop and further this work and further because we need to grow ourselves. It's one of our human needs to grow, and probably for all of us a big human need that we all share is the need for contribution and so we get very frustrated when we're not heard when we're really trying to contribute. And so part of that is on us to become better at how we're presenting so that we can be heard and connect with the people who we feel might benefit from what we say. Here we also have Lori is also thumbs up for a workshop. So, and Peg, she says, thank you both for a wonderful experience. Lori, we're so glad that you joined us and so glad that you've enjoyed and are benefiting and growing with this experience. So thank you.
Yes.
Um, Facebook user, look for the need and then deliver. Great advice. So,
Mm.
yes, so Peg, thank you for that. And
Tell if there's a way to after the holiday season, if you have an experience that less stress and more joy, woohoo, yes, yes. If you had an experience, but let me know somehow. I would love to hear if you use this during this week and next week.
well, that's a beautiful invitation to have. Please post something on the Facebook group and let's engage in conversations. Let's share with each other our success stories of how we're inspiring other people and our learnings. What is it that we're learning and how is it that we're growing and becoming even more effective as grassroots ambassadors. And some of us I know are professional ambassadors. So professional ambassadors are those of us who offers some kind of service in these communities, whether like yourself, Peg, somebody's a coach or a chef or a yoga instructor or the leader of a vegan organization that makes you a professional ambassador. And we love to hear from you, and we love to hear your contributions to support the grassroots ambassadors so that since we're all in this together, let's together make a difference. Because personally for me it's unacceptable that after 75 years only a couple percent of the world population is actually plant-based and vegan, and we it's time to do something about that. And so together we can find more better ways to communicate and help people help people get somewhere that we know for a fact will benefit them. And that's the beauty of it. We know, and nobody, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody who's suffering from being vegan,
Good point.
who's who who's not making a big contribution. So
Good
all
point.
right. Yeah, so please post on our Facebook groups and let's have some conversations there, and let's create a workshop. And Peg, let's schedule that sometime, and uh, to review everybody's benefits and success stories and learn from each other, and learn from you. You have some really wonderful knowledge and leadership here, and so appreciate you for sharing it with us. So
Thank you. It was so good
thank
to be
you.
here. So great to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes. Namaste, vegan. So, thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. And look forward to seeing you in the Facebook groups. And also, well, of course, seeing you were so. I suppose I should mention that we are taking 2 weeks off on our Saturday presentations. So next 2 weeks being the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, we're not going to hold any. And oh, and absolutely want to mention and invite everybody to join us in January. January, our theme is going to be healing relationships. So we are all sad and hurt by the damaged relationships we have, and let's take a look at what it is that we can do to heal these relationships. So to that end, Dr. Angela Crawford is going to have the keynote in the first Saturday of January. Then we have Ruben Guzman coming on the second Saturday, and his topic is about taking leadership. He's a wonderful executive leadership coach, so he's all about leadership. He's going to talk about taking leadership and healing relationships, and then Mariquita Solis is going to be with us the third Saturday, talking about empowerment and how to heal relationships in an empowered kind of way. So definitely join us. We're looking at February. We're scheduling things out into the future, and I'll give you a little insight here. Our theme for February is going to be, being that it's Valentine's Day and Valentine's month, it's going to be about loving the animals, and we're going to feature some of our strategic partners and some of the professionals in our community talking about the different aspects of loving the animals, and what we're doing to do that, and how then to inspire other people who love animals yet they still eat animals, and finding ways to inspire them to stop what they're doing to the animals they would probably love so much if they gave themselves a chance to. All right. Well, with that, everybody say goodbye again. And thank you all so very, very much for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye
Have a
bye.
and bye bye.